America has by far the largest, most powerful, well-equipped, and best-trained military force to ever exist on Earth. This is probably why Americans can't have any discussion about military spending without talking about which countries in the world can field an army which even come close to the US. On the list of the top military spenders in the world, it is fairly well known fact that US spends as much as it on its military as the next five countries combined, which is fine by the military because golf courses and flat screen TVs don't come cheap. What's more valuable than talking about the best armies in the world is talking about the worst armies in the world too. It's good as all the training, equipment, and resources of a country still fields an army who can't win. Now these 10 armies make the Salvation Army look like a credible fighting force.
Subscribe to our channel by clicking the subscribe button. Click the bell button and enjoy the latest uploads from our channel.
First one we have is Costa Rica. The Costa Ricans have to be at the bottom of the list as they have no armed forces to speak of. What they do have is an army of wealthy Westerners who come to teach yoga to other Westerners visiting Costa Rica. But no one will ever want to invade Costa Rica because these people have to come with it. Other countries without a military force include Iceland, Mauritius, Monaco, Panama, and Vanuatu, all without the significant number of would-be yogis. Can you imagine a world without military service? Number 2. Iraq. What may have been the fourth largest army in the world under Saddam Hussein is now a shadow of its former self. Despite years of training from US and the British forces as well as $26 billion in investment in military aid, the Iraqi army has only 26 units considered loyal. On top of that, Iraqi lawmakers discovered 50,000 ghost soldiers in its ranks, troops who receive a paycheck but never showed up for work. In 2014, ISIS was able to overrun much of the western Iraq as Iraqi troops fled before the Islamist onslaught. Number 3. North Korea. On the outside, the North Korean army looks like it's priority of a Kim regime. In many ways, it is. The border towns of Panmunjom and Kaesong as well as Nampo and DPRK newsreel footage boosts tall, strong-looking North Korean troops with new equipment, weapons, views, and full meals. Deeper inside the Hermit Kingdom, however, the army starts to look a bit thin. Literally, on the 2012 trip to North Korea, the author found most Korean People Army KPA troops to be weak and used mainly for conscripted labor. It would have been a real surprise if they all had shoes so could walk in the real formation. Most units appeared lightly armed, if armed at all. Number 4. Eritrea. A country is obviously great when it's known as Africa's North Korea in international relations circles. Eritrea's army force has one of the highest concentrations of conscripted men of any army in the world, which uses more for forced labor than to secure its border or fight al-Shabaab terrorists. This is a country so great that 2,000 people a month seek asylum in Sudan, but Sudan is supposed to be an improvement. Number 5. Nigeria. Nigeria is struggling with an ISIS-affiliated insurgency from Boko Haram. Despite Nigeria's oil wealth, its military is ill-equipped to combat this Islamist uprising. One soldier even described it to BBC as, quote, "Imagine me and you are fighting. We both have guns, but while you are wearing a bulletproof vest, I'm carrying an umbrella." Unquote. Soldiers in the country's northeastern Borno state are so under-equipped their armed vehicles don't actually move, and some soldiers are known to flee with civilians as they tear up their uniforms. Number 6. The Philippines. The president of the Philippines vowed to upgrade the country's aging Navy and Air Forces to the tune of $1.7 billion. The Philippine Congress passed a bill appropriating $2 billion for the effort, and that's it. Despite the Chinese military buildup in the region with aggressive moves by the Chinese to claim areas and build islands close to the Philippines, the Philippines naval and air forces are still nearly 60 years old and its ships are old US Coast Guard cutters. Number 7. Tajikistan. The Tajik army is a mess, and unlike other Soviet states after the fall of the Soviet Union, Tajikistan had no native units to absorb into a new independent government. The Tajik military was not built around old Soviet units. The Tajiks were left defenseless with only a Russian peacekeeping force. In 1994, they formed their own army, which immediately resulted in a civil war. This one might expect from a country which capital is named Monday. Tajiks prefer the Russian army because the pay is better, and those who are drafted are often kidnapped and then sometimes hazed to death. Number 8. Mongolia. As the phrase goes, how the mighty have fallen. A landlocked country, the Mongols have no navy or no need of one. Unfortunately, they're also locked between Russia and China and could not possibly defend themselves from either. In fact, if a Russian-Chinese war ever broke out, part of it will likely be fought in Mongolia, as the Mongols have sent forces to assist the US in Iraq and Afghanistan, but their expertise in the teaching US troops on how to recognize and use, if necessary, all Soviet-built arms and equipments. Number 9. Saudi Arabia. The Saudis are currently engaged in a coalition military operation in Yemen with the United Arab Emirates, in an effort to expel Houthi tribalism from Sana'a and reestablish the Sunni rulers. And they can. The Saudis and Emiratis have naval and air superiority, superior training material and numbers on the ground, and the backing of US intelligence assets. They've been there since March of 2015 and the Houthis are still in the capital. And last we have number 10, Afghanistan. Afghanistan makes the list despite the decade plus of training from ISAF advisors. The sad truth is that all that military training doesn't make up for the fact that the ANA will likely collapse like a card table when the US leaves Afghanistan. If the US ever leaves Afghanistan, not that they can't fight, but they can't do much else, as one advisor told Al Jazeera, quote, "In fact, talk to any coalition troops on the ground, and they will tell you the Afghans can fight, but only after they have been fed, clothed, armed, and delivered to the battlefield by NATO." So that's all this for now. Until next time.